So remember when we were kids and in the summertime, we had the summer off, so we'd play outside. And sometimes if we were lucky enough, we'd have chalk with us so we could draw on the sidewalk. Or maybe put those boxes on the sidewalk to play hopscotch. Remember that? We'd throw a marker and we'd have to hop on one foot or maybe both feet. And then we'd have to avoid the square with the marker and come back. Sometimes we might step on a square with the marker, which is an automatic elimination. But our friends would say, they would say do-over, and we would get a do-over because we know it was just a slight mistake, right? Our just foot went over the line a little bit. And so we would continue having fun and continue playing hopscotch. When we made mistakes as children playing games, sometimes those second chances would really come in handy because it kind of felt like everyone was supporting each other. So we allowed each other to have a do-over, maybe two even. And children usually learn from their mistakes. And they learn that it's not the end of the world to make a mistake. And that it kind of gives them some self-confidence because they have the power to do the right thing the next time. Then why do we forget the do-over as adults? As we mature, do we think that we know everything there is to know? You know the old saying, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. But wouldn't it be great if we could have do-overs in real life? Give ourselves permission for a do-over? Do-overs can really boost our self-esteem and those around us. So let's say we have a friend that expects us to drive them to different appointments. And this friend doesn't really offer us any gas money or even say thank you, for us doing that. We may feel disrespected by that. So what are our options if we don't want to lose that friendship? Maybe we should say something. Something like, our friendship is really important to me. But I really think I need some help with the gas money. Can you contribute? And then say, sometimes I feel taken for granted. Can you let me know if you appreciate the driving around that I do? And in saying this in a calm, matter-of-fact way, the friend will hear that you are sincere about their friendship, is that it's maybe a little one-sided, and you want to bring it back to something on an even playing field. And hopefully, if it is a true friend, they'll contribute some money and say thank you for driving them. Sometimes we feel the need to say yes to people, but we don't really mean it. So let's say one day you're with a group of friends and they have a not-for-profit organization. And one of the people, maybe the president, asks you, hey, we need a treasurer. Would you like to be a treasurer of our group? Because, you're really good with money. So you're kind of flattered by that. And you say, okay, sure, I'll help you out. But then you go home and you realize, I really don't have time to do this. Why did I say yes? How many times have we done something like that? Yeah. So then we have to reach out to that person because we have the right to change our mind. And so a lot of people don't remember that. They will commit to things and then they find out they can't fully commit as they thought. So it's better to say something up front. So calling up that friend and saying, I need to push that rewind button. I was thinking about what we discussed, and with all the work I have to do, I can't possibly be the treasurer. And I apologize for any inconvenience that I may have caused. Once again, saying something in a matter-of-fact, neutral way will help with that relationship, will help continue that relationship. And if you think about it, that's really a do-over. When we think we need a do-over, we should get a do-over. We need those in our life. And I'm sure you've heard of the term mulligan, right? So it's basically a do-over in golf, okay? And so what this is that when somebody makes a bad shot and it really affects their score when they do that, the others in their group will say mulligan, and they get to redo the shot, okay? So it helps it out. And it's a game that they're playing that they want everyone to enjoy. So they give this mulligan. And it's usually when you're with friends or at charity events, or maybe it's a foursome playing golf on the weekend. But I'm gonna say in legal competition, in a legal golf competition, there's no mulligans there. And I think it's interesting that both terms kind of go along with playing games, like having fun. The children playing will say do-over, and in golf, which is just a game that people want to have fun and relax and play, they have a do-over, which is a mulligan. And the goal is not to eliminate our mistakes, but to create a safe place where we can learn and grow from them. Without these hardships in our life, we wouldn't be able to give firsthand advice about life to others. What we learn, we like to share. Oh, what happened to us and how we recovered from that. The strange and serious roadblocks that these mistakes that we make give us a unique edge. We might say, oh, I'm never going to do that one again. So there's a new book titled Twice by Mitch Albom. You might have heard of this author. He wrote a popular book many years ago called Tuesdays with Morrie. So many years ago, this book came out, Tuesdays with Maury, and I was having a Christmas dinner with my family in a suburb of Detroit, right? And at that dinner, I don't know, there were like 15 of us at a big table. One of my cousin who just graduated from college said that she got a new job and she was working at the Detroit Free Press, the newspaper in Detroit. And that kind of jogged my memory, and I remembered Mitch Albom worked at the Detroit Free Press. So I asked her, do you know Mitch Albom or have you met him? And she said, well, I'm kind of new there. I didn't know very many people, but I saw this guy come in every once in a while. And he would come in on different days, different times, never really a full day. He would kind of come in and then leave. So she said one day she asked somebody else at work, who is this guy? And they said, that's Mitch Albom. So that's my story. Now I never met Mitch Albom, but that's story. So my cousin didn't stay there very long. She went on to another job, and I don't know if she ever really met him. So now going back to the novel, Twice, is it? People always think the grass is greener on the other side, right? So this book is about a man who's got magical powers that he can actually go back in time and change things. He gets a second chance. He gets a do-over, okay? So what he finds out is that he can't really do it with love. So if he is with somebody right now, and he thinks about another person that he wants to see, well, what would that be like if I had a relationship with them instead of the person I'm with? If he went back to that other person, the second person, that would be his last chance. If he went with them, the first person, he could never go back to. He would see them in the world he lived in. He could talk with them, but they would not have the same feelings of love for him that he once knew. All right. So he's got some fateful choices with this power to make these decisions. So if we had to do it over again, should we change anything in our lives? We learn lessons in the same way and use that experience to be the change we want to see in the world. So we went through painful experiences in our world, and we gained the wisdom and knowledge for that. And the takeaway on his novel, well, first, we don't have any magical powers, so we can't do that. And we don't have the power to go back in time. But we do actually have that power to do things twice when you think about it. And it's called the next minutes of our life. So once we do something, we can think about what we've done and think about how we would have maybe done it differently. And we have that power to do that. And maybe when we look back on our life, there's many things we would have done differently. But now we have the chance to change them. Because we've learned that lesson. We learn from our mistakes. losing the scars that affected us while going through those learning lessons? Would we give up learning those lessons? Maybe we would say, no, thank you. That's made me who I am. I learned that lesson. I don't want to take that away. I know more now. I'm a better person now. So second chances are the next minutes in our lives to take everything that we have learned or experienced and change things for the better. In order to be great at something, we have to make mistakes. Did you ever think of it that way? I make a lot of mistakes. Probably making one right now. We might try to deny responsibility or follow others, blame them for our situation. Does any of this sound familiar? We might avoid the hard work. It kind of reminds me of that movie from a long time ago. Well, not that long ago, but Good Will Hunting. You know that one with Matt Damon and Robin Williams? Matt Damon was brilliant. He was a genius, right? But he had a little problem with violence, right? He didn't know how to control his emotions. So Robin Williams, I'm forgetting his name, Robin Williams is the therapist that helps him. But the first time they meet, they kind of butt heads a bit. So they separate. And Robin Williams thinks, I'm gonna give him one more try. I'm gonna give him a do-over, a second chance. And I'm gonna give myself a do-over. I'm gonna do this different. So they meet in a neutral place out in the park, on a park bench. And so Robin Williams talks with him and says, Matt or Will, you're brilliant. No one can take that away from you. You're smarter than 90% of the people here. No one can take that away. You've read all these books. If I asked you about reciting the Gettysburg Address, you'd probably know that. Or what it's like, what's at the Sistine Chapel, what's at the Vatican, you would know all that. But he brings up, what did you experience? Can you tell me, have you been to the Sistine Chapel? What does it smell like? What does it feel like when you're there? He could not do that because he doesn't, Will, in Good Will Hunting, never experienced things. Didn't go out into the world to have relationships or do those things. That's what he needed to do. Even if he made mistakes, he would learn from them, but he hadn't done that yet. So it's kind of like a light bulb moment for Will. And they continue with their therapy. This is where everything connects. When we realize that we really, truly have the power of choice. And we can't avoid making choices. And some of those will be mistakes. But we can choose courage to act with purpose and awareness. To define what's important and true to us. And to match our actions, to match our beliefs. And finally, to set our own priorities instead of living by someone else's. Remember that everyone has the right to change their mind, including us. We can teach an old dog new tricks. And don't forget to give ourselves and others do-overs. Amen.